Okay, so in order to move forward with this class, there are a few terms that you're going to have to be affiliated with in order for us to move on. So there are 10 terms that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give the definitions for today. And you can work along with me as I go through these definitions. So if you can just get out a pen and a piece of paper, and what you're going to do is you're going to list three terms at a time. So write down the words sex, gender, and gender identity. Okay, so again, on that piece of paper, write down the terms sex, gender, and gender identity. Now, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to write definitions for those three terms. So write down a definition for sex, write down a definition for gender, and write down a definition for gender identity. Okay, and as we go through, if you don't have time to write them down, at least think about what your definitions for these terms would be. So, our definition for sex is going to be considered biological. So, when you see the term sex, we're talking about male or female based on biological parts. Okay, so biological genitalia determines sex. Okay, the genitalia that you are born with. It's biological. We don't have much control over it. We don't have any control over that when we're born. So that's sex. Gender, however, is socially constructed, meaning we learn how to be feminine and we learn how to be masculine. Okay, we're not born liking pink or blue. We are constructed for a female to move towards pink and a male to move towards blue. Okay, so gender, our presentation, the clothes that we wear that identify us as masculine and feminine are socially constructed. That's what we mean by gender. Gender identity is how we self-identify. Okay, so someone can look female on the outside, but inside they can self-identify as male. Okay, so gender identity is how you feel inside. Again, you could see somebody that looks male, but they could really identify as female. And a good film to watch that talks that kind of analyzes this gender identity concept is it's called My Life in Pink. It's a French film. It has subtitles, but that's a good film to watch. I would have required it for the class, but um, we have a lot of other things to do. But if you can pick up that film, My Life in Pink, it'll give you a good idea about how a child can look like a male but feel like a female inside. So that's gender identity. So we've talked about sex, gender, and gender identity. Now we're going to go to the next three terms. So write down these three terms, and that's cisgender, hermaphrodite, and intersex. So that's cisgender, Cisgender, hermaphrodite, Hermaphrodite, and intersex. And I'll give you 10 minutes to write down or think about what your definitions for cisgender, hermaphrodite, and intersex will be. And if you've never heard of some of these terms or you don't know what they mean, that's all right. That's why you're in this class. Okay, let's start with cisgender. Cisgender means that your sex, gender, your gender identity are all consistent with social norms. Okay, so your sex, gender, and your gender identity are all consistent with social norms. So that means if you are a female and you look female by society's standards, and you feel like a female, you are considered a cisgender individual. Okay? So if a person is transgender or transsexual, they would not be considered cisgender. Okay? And you'll read an article on cisgender shortly if you haven't already done so. Okay? Hermaphrodite and intersex are actually the same thing. So hermaphrodite and intersex have the same definition. They're just two different words. Now, hermaphrodite is a word that we don't use anymore. Intersex is the more politically correct, socially accepted term today. And hermaphrodite and intersex means you have biological qualities of each sex. So there are people who are born with biological qualities of both female and male parts. Okay, and hermaphrodites, those who are intersex, most often cannot bear children. Okay, um, males have XY chromosomes, females have XX chromosomes. If someone is born intersex, sometimes they might have XXO chromosomes. Again, they have qualities of both reproductive organs. Okay, and you'll read about this in your readings as well if you haven't already done so. Okay, our next three terms are going to be um, transgender, transsexual, and transvestite. Okay, again, that's transgender, transsexual, and transvestite. Um, so I'll give you 10 seconds to write down or think about your definitions for those three terms, and all three of those are different, do have different terms. Okay, so transgender is a person who may be born a male, okay, biologically a male, but feels like a female, or vice versa. So if someone's born female, has biological female parts, they could still feel inside like they are a male. Okay, they even may even present their gender in such way. But that's what we mean when we talk about transgender. Now, transsexual is someone that has post-operative surgery. Okay, um, so if a person is born male, they feel like a female inside, and they have surgery to make themselves a female, they are considered a transsexual. Okay, so you have some people who are female, they feel like a male inside. They take testosterone shots or hormones so that they will develop male or female parts. Okay, so transsexual has to do with having the surgery to align your gender identity with how you feel, your gender identity with your outward biological parts. Okay, and then transvestite. Transvestite is essentially a cross dresser. Okay, so if you're a male and you're a cross dresser, meaning you wear makeup and you dress like a woman, you would be considered a cross transvestite. Okay. Okay. And one more term. I told you they were 10. The last term is sexual orientation. Okay, sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is just who you are physically and sexually attracted to. Okay, so you can be heterosexual, you can be homosexual. Okay, they have a lot of different terms these days when we're talking about sexual orientation. In this class, at least, we're talking about who you are physically and sexually attracted to. That will be your sexual orientation, denoted by heterosexual or homosexual. We don't use homosexual the term so much anymore. We use gay or lesbian or bisexual. All right.